everybody, it's Missy from Shimmerz again, and for today's video I thought we would do a continuation from last week's video where we looked at white gesso and clear gesso on white cardstock. So today we're going to do the same thing but on pattern paper, and I wanted to show you how these two products can work with pattern paper versus using nothing on your paper before you apply your Shimmerz products. So for this first section of the paper, I'm using white, and this is just some old pattern paper that I've had in my stash. It's very bright and bold, all kinds of different colors. And if I was going to use this as a background for a layout, what I would do is I would go with this white gesso, and I'm just using a card to smudge it down. And as you can see, it's not only priming my page for the spray inks or the paint, but it's also acting as sort of a paint, I guess you could say, and it's fading away some of that color. It's fading away some of the pattern. And you could smudge this on as thick or as thin as you want. I like to do some areas thicker than others and kind of let some of those dots show through. But either way, this is going to start to create a protective barrier on my paper. And so when I start to add anything wet, it's not just going to soak right through to the paper. It's going to allow me to keep it wet for a while so I can blend or dab some up. Lots of different possibilities with it, but I love how this looks. So you're still going to be able to see that pattern through the gesso, but you're going to be able to do all kinds of stuff on top of it. So the middle section, I'm going to do the same thing but with clear, and it is going to do the same thing that the white gesso does minus the white color. You can't even see it on the pattern paper. So you're going to get that protective barrier and be able to do your mixed media on top of it, but you're not going to get any fading, you're not going to get any white areas. It's just straight clear, and you're going to be amazed at how different the products look on these two different products versus nothing over on the far right. So I'm using the same colors as last week. I've got 4-leaf clover, Jenny Bee blue, and no yoking, and I'm just spraying directly onto each of these sections here. The same amount on each section. And you can already see the two sections with the gesso, the liquid is pooling on top of it. It's not just seeping right through the paper. You can see there it's moving when I tilt the paper. Now over on the right, it's soaked in immediately. There's no dripping, there's no moving. I can touch it and it's already soaked through. And you can already see how different these three products look on these three sections. Now with the white gesso, I can go through with my paintbrush and it's still wet. I can blend, I can smudge, or I could leave it just as is and let it dry. You could use your heat gun if you are impatient like me sometimes and want to just get it dry really quickly. But I've got time here. I can blend, I can mix. Same thing in the middle with the clear gesso. But look how different it looks on the white gesso versus clear. You've got a lot of the pattern sort of hidden over on the left, but you can still faintly see it, versus the clear gesso. It just automatically looks darker because you can still see the pattern as is. Now over on the right with nothing, it's completely soaked through already. And there's, you know, it just depends on what the look is that you're going for. There's no right or wrong way here. If you don't want to blend or, you know, smudge your colors together, then you don't need gesso. But if you do add a lot of the spray, it could tear your paper just because of the nature of the paper getting wet. The gesso is going to protect it, and it's also going to change the entire look of the project there. And you can see how the white, I love the white. I think that's my favorite on pattern paper because it does sort of create a white space against all of that background pattern or color, whatever it may be. And it's just different. It just depends on what you like. So that's the difference on pattern paper. And just for reference sake, that's the sheet of white cardstock that we experimented with last week. And if you'd like to see that video, you can check the one before this. It's number 54. And there's a close-up of the pattern paper. So I hope this helps give you some ideas on what you can do with your pattern papers.